Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for looking in on my video. Thank you to all of you for looking in on my videos, those that have been, and thanks for those people who've subscribed. I'm really grateful, and many thanks to people who've been buying my book, which is available on Amazon. So there we are. So today's topic, and I apologise because I know that there are many SUV owners out there, but sorry, I don't like SUVs. For me, they're selfish and useless vehicles. SUVs, selfish and useless vehicles. Around where I live, there are these little Victorian streets, and you drive around, and these streets weren't designed for cars, let alone great big SUV cars. Anyway, so you go around, and we have to give way to each other and negotiate, because often there's only space for one car to go because of the parked cars and so on. You have to be careful. And suddenly you'll get a big SUV appear in front of you, and it's frozen and it appears unable to move. And part of the reason is that, but the drivers of SUVs, their visibility around the car for near space stuff is very poor. It's not a very good car for manoeuvring in small spaces, not very good for parking or anything like that. It's so big, and the person's so high up, and it's hard to judge the space next to them. And not only that, it's got all these electronic gizmos in there, and as soon as they get near anything, it goes beep, 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 and it renders the drivers sort of like a nervous wreck. So there you are, and so you have to get out of their way. And even though, you know, say if there's a spare pavement that's safe to climb on, I say safe, I don't want people saying, oh no, you shouldn't go on the pavement because people would push chairs and prams and that. Well, I agree, but sometimes there's not much option and you end up having to climb the pavement. Well, these SUVs are four-wheel drive, they've got massively high suspension, great big wheels, no problem climbing on the pavement. Oh no, it's me in my little car that has to get out of the way. So you climb the pavement or reverse or whatever. So it's, you know, it's not very manoeuvrable, is it, the SUV? And they're big. They're not designed for our roads. The other day I went to the hospital. I'm fine, by the way, don't worry. But yeah, I went to the hospital, and that multi-storey car park was built in the 1970s, you know, and it was designed for the cars of the 60s and the 70s, not these great big SUVs. So we're all trying to get in, and there's a massive traffic jam because there's two SUVs struggling in there. One of them can't get in the space and struggling to get in and out of the parking space. We're all there for ages, all queuing up, trying to wait for the SUVs to sort themselves out. And the other SUV car was stuck on the corner by the concrete thing. It couldn't get round the corner. It was just too big for the car park. Anyway, guess what happens? All the rest of us, we're all late for our appointments, aren't we? We're all like 20 minutes late because of the SUVs. What do they care? Oh, I don't know. But anyway, that's it then. So what on earth do you do? So you see them on the roads as well. And I remember, do you remember the pandemic? In the run up to the pandemic, when there was a run in the shops, I was helping these little old ladies with their shopping at the time. And I used to go in with my little car into the car park, and you see these great big SUVs parked in the car park, some of them occupying two spaces or well out of the car park space because they're too big for the low supermarket car park. And there they are, all these people were loading up their cars with bog roll. There you could see the SUV car full of bog roll and hand sanitizer and tins of food and loads of it, you know. And by day 3, there I was with this little old lady with her shopping basket, and we went round the supermarket, and all the shelves were empty. All the bog roll had gone. All the hand sanitizer had gone. I mean, people don't really eat tin food anymore, but it had all gone. And then all the meat went. So this little old lady, she needed to put something in her little shopping basket, but there was nothing left. people care? Do they care, the SUV drivers there, loaded up with all the bog roll? Nah, no. So, people like these SUVs because they're higher status and you're safer in the SUV, but the rest of us aren't. If an SUV car hits a pedestrian, they're 2 to 3 times more likely to die if they're hit by an SUV than a car of the 60s and 70s or 80s. A smaller car. 2 to 3 times more likely to die. Shocking, isn't it? And then if an SUV crashes into a smaller car, the chances of somebody being killed, a fatal accident happening, are much, much higher because of the SUVs. So actually, they're quite dangerous. And in some areas where there's been a growth of SUV around the world, in the United States, for example, pedestrian deaths have been on the increase because of the growth in sales of SUV cars. So, and on the motorways, some of these, they go so fast, these SUVs. I've been in my car, driving along, and you see one coming up really close behind you. And it's like, I'm bigger than you, get out of my way, sort of thing. So I get out of their way, I couldn't be bothered. But anyway, you see them all on the outside lane of the motorway, all driving far too close to each other. I mean, I know they've got these gizmos in, some of them have got emergency braking and, all very expensive stuff, and they're driving like that, but they're too close. And I just think, oh my God, and the rest of us in the slower lanes allowing plenty of space. You see them all on the outside lane, concertinaing like that. And when the traffic gets heavy, they all get stuck. And there's us on the slow lanes who are overtaking them all. And you just think, oh, life's weird, isn't it? So it's worrying. The other day I was going along at 40 miles per hour in the 40 mile per hour zone, and this SUV car comes zooming past me at 70 or 80 miles per hour in a 40 mile per hour zone. What were they doing? I think these cars need to have moderating things on their engines, compulsory when they're made, that they only go up to 20 miles per hour in the towns and only up to 70 or perhaps 75 miles per hour on the motorways, and no faster. But nowadays, they're all going like 80 and 90, 100 miles per hour when they can, when there's no traffic, goodness. I was going along and I was at the roundabout, and minding my own business, so I was about to come on the roundabout, and I saw this man in a great big black Range Rover SUV car, really red-faced and angry, and going beep, 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 and I don't know what the argument was about, but he was getting so agitated, and I just thought, oh, give it up, what's that about? Why bother? So, the petrol and the diesel SUVs cause far more pollution than the small 60s and 70s and 80s cars. Much more pollution and global warming. But, and they cost an awful lot of money. I understand that. I was looking somewhere, I think they cost anything from about £104,000 to £206,000, these SUVs when they're brand new. And it's incredible, isn't it? And I bought my car second hand from a little old man, and it cost me £3,000. Good as gold, this car. I mean, this poor little old man scraped it all down the side. It was, 96 or something, and he scraped it down the side of his garage. But otherwise, so I've got this great big scratch mark on my car. But otherwise, engineer-wise, the motor runs fine, never breaks down, gets through its MOT every year, good as gold. Looks a bit, dodgy with its scratch, but maybe maybe other motorists keep away from me because of the big scratch. I don't know. But so, oh dear. What do we do with these SUVs? So they're very, very difficult and expensive to maintain. You've got these huge tyres. Imagine having a puncture and having to change the spare wheel with these great big tyres. And they're so expensive. And the stories, can you imagine the price of these great big tyres? There's stories of in America and Canada that these tyres are so expensive that some of these SUV drivers let them go bald. And when the snowy conditions on the road, these SUVs are driving into the ditch. Dear, oh dear. So anyway, to sum up, my view is these cars are really expensive. Could people spend a bit of this money on other things? You know, get a smaller car and spend it on something nicer, you know, something, I don't know, maybe we should be helping each other a bit more instead of me first, you know, in society. But these big cars are not designed for UK roads. They're very, very expensive too. They cause more fatalities with the pedestrians than any other car. They cause more fatalities than any other car when they impact with another car. You're more likely to die if you're hit by an SUV than any other car. They cause more pollution, global warming. I just think that they're selfish, really. So I'm sorry if it upsets some of you SUV owners, but you know, I've got to be honest, I don't like these SUVs, and maybe I'm not alone. I'd like to hear from you what you think, but I you know, personally, I wish we could make public transport in this country cheaper and more accessible, make it free or something. And my other, I mean, we were talking about the pandemic. I remember during the pandemic, I was really, my mum was in a care home, and these poor care home workers were working really hard in quite risky conditions. The standard of their work was up there, you know, really good. But they don't really get enough recognition, I felt, at the time from society for the work they were doing. And their pay was abysmal. You know, people could earn more cleaning or working in a supermarket than working in a care home. And actually the skills required to work in a care home are up there. You know, a lot of responsibility, difficult hours of work, tough job, and not enough thank you from society. And really, their job is really professional, and they need a professional qualification for the role that they do. So there you are, another moan for today. SUVs and carers, you know, who work not only in the care homes, the ones who visit, deserve greater appreciation by us. And, you know, perhaps the SUV owners would like to contribute a bit of money towards that. You know, that would be nice, wouldn't it, if they can afford it? Anyway, all the very best. Have a lovely day now. Keep smiling, everybody. And like I said on my other video, keep doing these little random acts of kindness towards total strangers. Like Princess Di said, carry out a random act of kindness towards a total stranger, and one day this random act of kindness, somebody safe in the knowledge that somebody will do the same for you another day. Anyway, all the very best now, and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.